while we're a fairly small school, there's still, we're kind of spread out with Con Ed and basic skills down the hill and Crutchfield. What are your thoughts about communication and being sure that everybody kind of is on the same page with what's going on?
I don't think you can over-communicate, and communication is so very important. When you have multiple instructional sites, it is really important to remember that nobody be left out, that everybody made to feel that they're part of the mission and they're part of what we need in accomplishing that mission. There's a lot of different ways that you can communicate. Of course, there's the more formalized ways of emails, calling people together during convocation or an all-faculty and staff meeting and just talking to them about what's going on. But I also think that there's room for informal communication within a community college. And by that I mean, and I mentioned some of this to the Board of Trustees this morning, simply picking out a day each month where we have coffee and conversations that we try to get together, and maybe we move that from location to location. Because often what I've found is that you have people who work on one campus and they've never visited the other campus. They don't know what goes on there. They don't know what it looks like. So I think that's important. But I also think it's important basically, and one of the things that I'd like to see is a President's Advisory Committee that's made up with individuals from all parts of the institution itself, no matter the instructional location, but also with regards to all levels of the institution. I learned very early that if I really want to know what's going on and I want to get it straight, I go basically to those resources. I go out, I walk the campuses, I talk to students, I talk to faculty and staff, and that keeps me in touch and that keeps me communicating. One of the things that I do now is I actually schedule a period of time on my calendar for those people who want to stop in. And you know, they have a quick question or they just want to say hi, or here's an idea, have you thought about that? Because I think it's important to have that open door environment for faculty and staff at the institution. Yes, please.
I'd like to follow up on Tom, the Small Business Center, and also Mark earlier. And you keep talking about our mission, which doesn't break us down between curriculum, Con Ed, basic skills. It's an encompassing mission. Wonder what your thoughts are on crossing those barriers, knocking down those barriers between curriculum and Con Ed, so that Tom can come to our business students and get them some solid experience, for example.
What I would like to see us do more of with regards to in North Carolina is the stackable credentials. And so what you're looking at when you're looking at stackable credentials, you're looking at doing some continuing education, giving students the basic skill set that they need in order to go out and be successful in an entry-level position. And then you combine that experience that they've had in that entry-level position, you combine their continuing education work, and you actually give them credit towards that next step up, which might be a curriculum certificate. And I see basically, or envision, where the student keeps on cycling back into the institution as they go on for the diploma and as they go on for the associate's degree. But there is no reason, as long as we have the same student learning outcomes, as long as we have met the same faculty credentials and all of those other things that SAC says that we must do, that we can't do a much better job of crosswalking between what's happening in continuing education and what's happening in curriculum. So if you've taken classes in continuing education, there is an application with regards to curriculum, and you don't have to start all over again. I don't think that we necessarily give our students enough credit for the job experience that they've had. And I think that we could do a much better job with regards to that. And I think it makes it a much more hospitable environment for our students. So those barriers really don't need to exist. And between basic skills and curriculum, I don't know how familiar you are with the IBEST model, but I'll tell you what, that is something that appeals to me wholeheartedly, where you have a team of teachers in the classroom. You have a faculty member who is a subject matter expert with regards to the career field. You have a faculty member who is a subject matter expert in the reading, writing, mathematics, whatever the case might be. And so the student is getting just-in-time training as they're going through the program. So you get the career and technical skills, but if you need to be brushed up on your fractions, your decimals, whatever the case might be, there is your faculty member to help you right there. And I think that's how we transition students through our process in a quicker manner so that they can get into the workplace. Because in today's economy, that's what they're looking for. They're not looking to have to repeat courses. They're wanting to make sure that the courses that they take with us are going to prepare them for the workplace. And they also want to make sure that we have different articulation agreements in place so if they do decide to transfer down the line to a four-year institution, that their credits are going to be acceptable. So I think those are some of the ways that we get in there and we become actively engaged with what our students are doing so that we can help them in making those transitions.
Good.
Hi, I see GTCC as a leader in developmental education as far as North Carolina goes, and I was wondering how you would prioritize resources for developmental ed programs.
I believe that each and every one of us at the community college are developmental educators. I don't know exactly what your stats are with regards to those individuals who enter in from the county school system, but 85% of our students need developmental education, with the vast majority of them actually needing developmental mathematics. We've been very lucky. We have been part of Achieving the Dream. We were a first-round college. We actually received a developmental education initiative grant that has actually helped us with our developmental education. But developmental education can also turn into a vortex of never-ending pain for students if we're not careful. So I think developmental education is another area that we really need to look at. There's a wonderful initiative that's going on across the state right now, and I'm sure that you're probably aware of it, and that's the developmental math redesign. And how that actually translates to each of our individual campuses is yet to be seen. But the idea, and did anybody here serve on that? Okay, there were 18 faculty, and I'll tell you what, they were just amazing. They got together, they all had some different ideas, but they were able to really come together as a group and do some phenomenal work. They took a look at 60, 70, and 80 math, and they have been able to take the concepts that were repeats and toss those out. They tossed out the material that was not needed for a student to go on with their college level work, and they've actually reduced the experience of those 3 classes down into 10 modules. And what's going to happen as a result of that is that developmental math students are actually going to be able to finish their math in 1 year. And that doesn't always happen in a lot of our current models. What has been happening is students get in and they don't finish and they re-enroll. I mean, for anybody that says that our students don't have tenacity, they're wrong. Because it takes somebody with a lot of tenacity, a lot of gumption to stick out going into developmental education over and over. So I think that what we have to do is we really have to think about the way that we're offering our developmental education. And reading and writing is going to go down that same path from everything that I understand, and that's a good thing. Because if we can get our students through the developmental education process, we can get that foundation built that they need in order to be successful in their college level classes. We're going to retain those students, and they're actually going to get the certificates, the diplomas, the degrees that they need from us in order to be successful. So it's a win-win. And as far as allocation of resources, I do think it's an important part of what we do. I know that there has been a lot of talk that we want to make sure that every student is college ready. Unfortunately, I think that we still have a long ways to go with regards to that. But it also is imperative that we are reaching out to the county school system and we're talking about the requirements that students need once they get to our doors. And the same thing with that vertical alignment conversation that we're talking to the universities so that our students are prepared if they decide to transfer for those courses at the four-year institution.